body, your mind will not feel safe. Actually, step into the unknown because the new reality that you are shifting is not predictable as such. Everything that is predictable is because the mind is able to predict the 10 steps what is going to happen. So allow yourself to go into a space where you are becoming comfortable with the unknown, taking leap of faith and making this jump without wanting to have a safety net, because once you jump and you show the universe how courageous you are and you go into this stream, the safety net is coming, but you have to. Hello everyone, I'm Livia Devi and I'm just super excited to be here with you all at Your Superior Self.
I love it. Livia, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're a busy lady out there changing the world into vibration. So thank you for joining me today on this platform.
I'm excited to having this conversation, and yes, I'm here to. I felt the excitement when you connected to me, so I said yes. Let's just have this chat and see where it goes.
Felt the excitement. Yeah, for sure. And that leads me into my first question. How do you experience reality?
Well, I'm experiencing in multiple ways. Reality is such a beautiful framework of co-creation with our higher self. Why not say our superior self? And it's a platform, if I can say like that, of experiencing life the way we prefer. Many people believe that reality is just a linear time space continuum, like it's just a linear experience of what had happened in the past, what exists in the moment, and what will come in the future. But for me, I'm experiencing reality in a different way. I can say that I am actually co-creating and experiencing my higher self in multiple realities. So why am I saying this? Because we have the power to actually create our own reality, and once we get into that co-creative flow and when we are in our flow consciousness, it is so beautiful to actually experience the power within us to choose the reality that we prefer. So reality for many of us is not just a concept, and it's not a given timeline where we wake up in the morning, we go to work, or we are managing our businesses, and we go to bed, and then the next day is the same routine. Actually, reality can be something super exciting, and when we are becoming co-creators, we are actually navigating it differently. So to answer to your question, Trey, how I'm experiencing my reality in a very different way than other people on this planet, maybe more empowered, more deliberate, more conscious, bringing more awareness, and in the same time with more joy and happiness.
I love that. So a lot of us feel like this reality is, well, it's very dense, but like we can't change a lot of the variables to create the reality that we want. So listening to you, it sounds like you consciously create your reality to what you want to experience. Now, why does it stop with us, right? Like people that are, let's say, in the illusion, right, or in our deep in our belief systems. Why can't we feel like we're consciously creating our experiences or having the experiences that we want?
Everything starts with our subconscious mind. Everything is happening from our subconscious into the conscious, into the superconscious. So if we truly want to experience the fabric of reality, if we want to see the fluidity of it, we have to go back where we are creating it. And what is reality is a holographic projection of our subconscious beliefs and limitations, and all the programming that we have in our subconscious mind. So we are programmed until the 7 years old. So as children, we are programmed. There are a lot of imprints that we are receiving from our environment, and then after 7 years old, 95% of what we are experiencing is just a projection. So then when we go in our subconscious mind and we start to look at everything that is going on there, like our limiting beliefs, conditioning layers, everything that has been imprinted, the programming, the patterns, and how they are running, then we are able actually to rewrite or rewire everything and choose what we want to experience. This is where the deliberate co-creation comes into play. Many people believe like, I'm going to change my reality if I'm co-creating with a law of attraction, or if I'm doing this manifestation ritual. But actually, you will not manifest anything other than what your subconscious mind is communicating with the universe, because there is an unspoken language, is an energetic frequency language that your subconscious mind is actually communicating with the universe, and the universe is actually answering to this subconscious language, not what you desire consciously. And it's beautiful and amazing to have desires and dreams, but also we can use our conscious mind and the power of our free will to actually go into the subconscious and bridge this if we want to become more deliberate and access the superconscious, which is our higher self, our highest embodiment, highest consciousness.
Mm. How did you come with all this? I mean, how did you get all this knowledge, right? Like, did you, what's your path to this point, right? Like, how did you figure this all out for you? I know you're a channeler of higher intelligences, and you radically changed your life from where you used to be. I want to know more about, like, how did you grow up? Like, where did you grow up? Like, were you very religious, spiritual? Like, what did that look like?
Yes. Many people are asking me, like, what books did you read, and what did you study, and how did you come across to these conclusions, which are actually are bridging. My teachings are bridging like neuroscience with quantum physics and spirituality. And the reality is that I didn't read any books, and I was not a spiritual person, not even a religious person. Everything happened to me in 2016 when I had a great awakening, if I can say like that. I came back online into my soul mission, being a trans channel for the Arcturian Council of Light, which is a 7-dimensional civilization that I'm co-creating my life with, and I'm co-creating, the life paths of many students and individuals at the global level. But I was born in Romania, and in a small little town in Romania, in east of Europe. And my parents were not religious, they were not spiritual, but they were passionate about galaxies and stars and universe. And I remember that when I was a child, my father was sharing with me and my sister a lot about the fabric of the universe and constellations. And every Saturday we had this little gathering, and where he was like, I think he was consciously channeling information about stars. So I was exposed to this type of information, but my father was an engineer, my mother is an architect. So I grew up in communism. They actually lived in communism. So in a communist environment, you don't have access to information. Like, you don't have books, you don't have access to TV channels, you don't have anything. But my father was just a brilliant mind, and he loved to create things. He was an innovator, and he was leading with innovation in everything he was doing. So as a child, I was exposed to this type of information. But my path, I was receiving this, like, some stories, like bad stories, and like some beautiful information that my father was sharing with me. I never thought about that, because I graduated political science. I have a master's degree in law. I work for the government in Romania, and then I worked for 15 years in corporates. So I worked in Silicon Valley, in San Francisco, and then Ireland, and I worked everywhere, in the corporate world. So I was not connected with astrology, astronomy, stars, science. No, I worked actually in sourcing and construction. So I was leading different type of projects, and I didn't have any connection with spirituality. My mother was not spiritual. They were both like believing in a higher power, but they were not religious. Like, they didn't go to church or something like that. They were quite free in their belief, and I think it inspired me a little bit to see things differently. So in 2016, I was an executive in Silicon Valley, and I worked with many beautiful souls there. I was managing very important projects in an IT software company. And in 2016, I remember it was one day when I woke up, and I was preparing to have a meeting with 25 people that I was managing, and I fainted on the couch. And when I woke up, in 1 hour after, I started to hear like millions of people speaking in my head, and this is where I got activated into my soul mission. Actually, the higher councils of light and higher consciousness, the beautiful civilizations that I'm working right now, they just press the activation button, and my brain started to restart. And this is when, after, after 6 months going on that path of not understanding exactly what is going on, but being guided by amazing, I can say, earth angels that just crossed my path, and they were precisely and placed into my life like it was a divine orchestration, 100%, because otherwise I wouldn't have received the guidance and support to arrive where I am today and to be in my soul mission. After 6 months, I start to actually connect, with the Sirius Council of Light from Sirius Constellation, from the 12th dimension, 7th dimensional Arcturian Council of Light. People don't know who these civilizations are, but they
I don't.
are, you know, there are like super high advanced civilizations of light that are actually helping humanity in the ascension process. And I completely changed my life. I took a different path, and was not even a parallel or alternate path. It was just a completely new life that I had to start. And it was very challenging at the beginning because I didn't know what to do with these gifts and with this access and all that information and downloads that I was receiving and training that I have received. And also I didn't knew anyone. That time I was in Ireland. I was living 6 months in San Francisco, 6 months in Ireland. And I don't know anyone. Like, I didn't know that Abraham Hicks exists, that Bashar exists. I didn't know anything and anyone that is doing what I'm doing. So I felt a little bit, I felt a bit afraid of coming out with this. It took me a little bit of time to actually come out and fully share the information the way I'm sharing it, and everything that I have learned. But definitely it was a decision that I couldn't go back to an old version of myself. And this was like a huge quantum shift in reality, when you actually realize that you are a completely new person and you can't go back to an old version of yourself, and you can't even relate to anything that you actually had in your previous reality. Like I couldn't relate to coworkers, to family, to friends. It was a huge mega shift, that happened in my life, and my consciousness was trying to actually reconnect with these new realities and new timelines that were opening up for me. So I was trying to share with you, like in a nutshell, my journey that actually happened and span out for so many years. But it was definitely a very interesting journey. And I am the type of person that I'm fascinated about exploring the realm of consciousness. So, when they start downloading all this information about the quantum field and how everything works, how reality is created, how we are actually linking in and creating realities, how we co-create with other interdimensional civilizations, I was just blown away. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to bring this information to the world, but this is the coolest thing I ever received. So since 2016, like since I started to be a trans channel for the Arcturian Council of Light, I'm bringing this information. I'm trying, to bringing in a way that is more relatable to everyone, because not everyone understands quantum physics, quantum mechanics. Like, not everyone is like super in details of how the quantum field works. But I'm trying to bring this information in a way that can be received by everyone's heart. And even if people don't logically understand with their minds, they can at least receive the energetic transmission to their heart consciousness, and let their heart feel the deep wisdom and the knowing behind it.
I love all of that. So I'm one of those individuals that has no clue about like star seeds or different higher non-human intelligences that are, of a council or related to a civilization outside of this reality. I've heard a lot of people talk about that, but I cannot relate just because of I would say because of my past experiences and how I grew up in this reality, and just my path up to this point, right? But that's why I find it so fascinating, your teachings and listening to you about how to become a conscious creator here and work with these intelligences or this consciousness to create the reality that we desire, right? And not be a prisoner of those programs and keep repeating old traumatic patterns in our lives. I think what you're saying is so spot on, and I love it. I'm just really curious about that awakening process of hearing the millions of voices like, can you hit on that a little bit more? Like, I'm very interested in that. Like, were you doing things in your life up to that point to like maybe you said they hit the button, the activation button, but were you like doing any protocols? What was your diet like? Like, were you meditating? Were you doing, what were you doing to, did you do anything to help activate that?
That's a very good question. And, I remember that prior to that day when everything like happened for me, I was not spiritual, but I went to one yoga festival. Like, I didn't know anything about yoga and I didn't know what that is. And I just walked into that space and I felt that I belong there. I felt like for the first time in my life, I felt like, oh, I actually feel these people, even if I don't know what yoga is, what meditation is. I didn't know anything. Like, literally, I was completely in a third dimensional world where there was nothing like that in my reality, like I was not exposed to any type of information in that way. And I remember that this was like a couple of months before I had this episode when I started hearing millions of voices in my head, but I didn't do any particular practice until that happened. It just happened. I remember it was 6 o'clock in the morning. I woke up. I was like, so, I was very good at my job and very devoted to my job, and I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I was ready to actually open up the Zoom call with my team and I fainted. And those millions of people speaking in my head when I actually, when I woke up from that faint after 1 hour, being such a pragmatical, logical person that I'm only operating from my mind, like I was only operating from my mind. I don't know what was going on. So I realized I felt like maybe I'm burning out, or maybe, I have something is happening with me. Maybe I'm too stressed and I start something, went wrong in my head. So what I did, I called my manager and I said, hey, like, I don't know what's going on with me, but like, I'm hearing millions of people speaking in my head and this is weird. So I think I need to see a doctor and I'm not able to work because I'm not able to focus. So my manager, being also, super in his mind as well, and it's like he said, hey, I don't know, like, just go and fix yourself out and come back. And I went to a general practitioner, which was like my doctor, the family doctor in Ireland. And I went and I saw her, and she's like, I'm sorry, I don't know how to help you. And I started like texting all my friends, and one of my friends sent me actually the contact details of a psychiatrist in Ireland. And she said like, maybe you go and see him, because if nobody can help you, maybe he can help you. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Maybe I'm bipolar or something is wrong there. Maybe maybe someone can actually,
Multi-personality disorder. Yeah, the millions of voices.
I was very like very logical person, so I was trying to So I go and see this man, and I was just, as I said earlier, I was just extremely lucky, and I feel like my path was precisely and mathematically calculated and aligned with this beautiful being, because he was not only a psychiatric president in that institution, but he was a very awakened human being that he lived in Tibet, and he was trained in the Taoist tradition, and he was he was a Reiki master, and he was a completely awakened. And he came back to Ireland to actually reform the entire institution, because half of the people that were under medication, they were actually awakening and experiencing ascension symptoms. So he was training all the doctors and the medics, that psychologists and psychiatrists, to what ascension is, even if they didn't know what that is, and nobody there was actually awakened other than him. And I went and I saw him, and I remember the first time I actually sat with him, he was asking me questions, but I was answering, and I was like, he was asking a question, I was answering, and I didn't know what's going on. And at the end of the conversation, he said like, Livia, you are not bipolar, you are awakening. And I remember that I was looking at him, he's like, what do you mean I'm awakening? I didn't even know what that is. It's like, I'm awake and I'm speaking with you right now. What are you saying? So he said to me, just come and see me here like twice a week, and I'm going to explain you more of what's going on with you. So, he was an incredible, important catalyst for my sanity, if I can say like that, because, he explained me what is going on, and the voices were still running. Like I was listening, like, they were like millions of people speaking in my head without actually understanding what was going on. I couldn't even take a message from that. And, after 6 months, these voices start to stream in through 4, and it was like the Sirius Council of Light from Sirius B planet, from the Sirius constellation, 12th dimension consciousness, the 7th dimensional Arcturian Council of Light, my higher self, and my ego mind that was trying to survive the experience. And this is when I actually realized, hearing the Sirius Council of Light, because I had been trained by them for 1 year, day and night for 1 year. They told me they shifted my consciousness for 1 year, as for others in 40 years. They actually told me what I'm here and why they are here and why I'm hearing this voice and what is really going on. So what was going on is that they restarted my brain and they accessed my subconscious mind, and they were activating me in my soul mission. They were activating me into my starseed, like my starseed DNA started to be activated. They were activating the remembrance of who I am. I came back online. Well, I was sleeping before, and then they pushed the button and I started to came back online. And when they told me, it's like, your mission on this planet is to activate light leaders in their soul mission, I truly felt in my heart and soul that this is who I am. And I started to see like flashes of past lifetimes, and like started to actually tap into the multi-dimensional field of who I am. And I freaked out, because I didn't like, I was like, oh my God, like so much responsibility suddenly. I thought that I'm just going to be like, a sourcing executive, and I'm just going to buy. I was actually ready to take a mortgage, have a house, settle down, have 3 kids, and just be there on that path. And that was my goal then, it's like, I just want to do that. And, suddenly.
I did that. I'm here now. That's what I have. I have a mortgage, 3 kids, wife, career. But there's a I don't know, there's like a pull towards something different, right? And I don't mean to interrupt because your story is so fascinating, but there's so many questions that I have to ask you. Like, I have to ask you before I forget. Like, um, ascension symptoms. Like, what are the symptoms that are telling us that we're ascending?
Yes, or even the awakening, right? So, I started to actually tune into different, like, I started to actually feel that I belong to another world. I started to feel like everything that was happening, even if before was making so much sense for me, suddenly it didn't start to make so much sense anymore. Like, my preferences in food have changed very quickly. Then I realized, why am I watching these shows on TV? I don't really resonate. And I start to ask myself questions, like a lot of whys, and I start to not like resonate anymore with anything that was happening. Like, when you are awakening, the world is not making sense anymore. And you kind of feel alone into that experience, because there is no, or at least for me now, there are so many resources where people are actually, whoa, I'm like having this, shifts in reality, and I'm like, I'm gonna listen to this and this and this, and there is guidance now online. But when I awakened, in 2016, and because of the limitations of the reality that I have created subconsciously, I didn't even know where to start, and I felt very isolated. I felt like I start to actually see beyond the veils. And this is what's happening when we awaken. We start to see beyond the veils, and we start to actually, if we had before one lens of perception that we were looking, suddenly we start to understand and see reality through multiple lenses in the same time. And this can be very overwhelming, because it's like you are able to access the fabric of reality and see what's going on and understand things that people are not able to understand. And you feel very lonely at some point, because things don't make sense. You start to feel isolated. You feel like magnetized towards something more and something different. Is your heart and soul that is awakening, and your soul is like, oh my God, I need to learn more, I need to be somewhere else, but you don't know where you have to be. And it's like it's this pull. And in the same time, when you meet someone that is on the same frequency reality, because what's happening when we are awakening, we shift from the collective frequency into another frequency. And in that reality, you are kind of alone, until you start to sink in with other people that are on the same frequency. And when you meet them, it's like, oh my God, like, I'm just so happy that I met you. I don't even have to speak, because I can feel you. I know that you are soul family. Like, we communicate and we are on the same frequency. It's so easy to be around you, and it's so easy to speak, and it's so easy to relate, and you understand me, and the language, when we awaken and we go into another reality, shifts as well. It's like the language is changing, and the more we are sending, everything is becoming even more like you start to access even more, like like from the valley you're going on top of the mountain when we are ascending, and we start to see everything from the top of the mountain. Like we start to see like the control that is happening with media and so on and so forth. Like, and it's not only seeing but knowing and understanding, and a wisdom that you don't know where you have it, and suddenly you start to like say things that are so wise that even you actually catch yourself like, oh my god, where do I know that? How do I know that? Like when your soul starts streaming information and you consciously channel information. So many people are awakening on this planet right now. Many people are actually going through this process of ascension, where the ascension process also is not an easy one, because some people are going through dark night of the soul, and they start accessing trauma, and they go very deep within the clearing of the cellular memory, and they people can actually experience physical body reaction. They can go through like pain and strains and emotional clearing and mental clearing, and all bodies, like physical body, emotional body, energetic body, light bodies, electromagnetic body is awakening. So then there are changes that we are experiencing in like how we think, how we feel, what we feel. Like we go like the ascension is actually taking us through very, very deep layers. And many people, this is why when they are ascension, and then when they are awakening, they start to come together in groups, and they need support, because you can't navigate alone that process. It's you need someone that can guide you. And I love that online there are so many online communities, and I see people all around the world, even like from very isolated places in South America, or Europe or Africa. They start to actually like connect with online communities where they can find support, and speak about what is a star seed, why do I feel connected with other people, why do I have these awakening symptoms. And yeah, it's a beautiful process. Yes.
It sounds like it. Yeah. It sounds like it can be painful and beautiful at the same time. I feel like you're shedding those programs, right? Like the identity, the persona that you thought you were, like during the awakening process, as you expand in consciousness, as you allow the information to come in, like it breaks down a lot of those barriers that you have built, and that can be painful. It's like expansion is painful because you are growing, right? And people want to think that it's just this beautiful, magnificent process, which it is in its own right, but it's also painful because it just goes against everything that you thought reality was and who you were and what you were. And that alone can crush someone's world. I love the community that you're building because it's almost like a support system for that process. You talk about the psychotherapist who was awakened and helped you through that. It's almost like you're doing the same thing for people, where you're guiding them along that awakening process so that they have that support there, that community, someone to talk to. Because I know that for myself, I have found that you can't have these conversations with everyone, especially if they're not at that level. And it can be very lonely and very frustrating. And you can almost kind of go the other direction sometimes in your ascension process, because you just don't feel like you can connect with anyone, or get more guidance, or you feel lost. And so you kind of I don't know what the word is, but it's just like you regress almost, because
Mhm.
there isn't that inspiration to continue going, because to me, we just don't come here to have this thought of I'm something more. I feel like you have that concept. That's the start of the awakening process. But then how do you live that? How do you co-create with the universe to experience yourself as that, to know like it's not just theoretical. I can read a book and understand, okay, so from someone else's experience or teachings, this is what we are. But how do you experience it in this reality, to know it, not to understand it conceptually, but to know it experientially, that this is what you are? I'm on that path. Like, and I know that I've had a lot of conversations, like over 500 conversations with people who are magnificent beings who have different teachings. And I'm starting to realize that I have to start bringing my energy back in towards me,
Mhm.
and finding out more of who I am, the authentic self. Like, who is that? Right. So when I hear stories like yourself, I think it's very fascinating. And it can be also like, I'm not going to say jealous, but it's like, oh man, I wish somebody would just hit my reset button. You know what I mean? Like, come on, I'm doing the work. Help me out, bro. Uh, but again, it's the journey, and who knows, who knows what the future holds. But for someone who is struggling with this right now, who is wanting to ascend or want to experience some of these different dimensions or realities, like, what's your advice to them? Like, what would you
Yes.
say?
So for the people that are just awakening and are in this process of dissolution, right? Because this is what you mentioned, is like, when you are awakening, you go through this massive process of letting go. Like, you have to unlearn everything that you learn. And this is painful because you have to let go of the attachments, you have to dissolve, and like you are deconstructing your ego in order to actually reintegrate it back in a different way. Like, you have to let go of everything that you thought is true. Many people that are awakening, they feel like this betrayal, that they had been lied all their lives, not only by the governments and what's happening, but they start to feel like very deeply in their heart and soul that why some people are awakening very late in their lives, like 50s or 60s, and some of them is like, why now? Like, why do I need to learn all this information now? Why do I have to go through this deep process right now? And the process of dissolution and how we are actually dissolving the ego in the attachments, because what is happening in the third dimensional way is like we are actually deconstructing the third dimensional matrix within our nervous system and within our subconscious mind. Like, the entire structure of reality that we believed is real is collapsing, but it's not collapsing at once. It's collapsing step by step for us to be able to reintegrate back into society. And to, it's like we go through a layer and then we heal it and we integrate it. We go to another layer and we integrate. Everything has to come here inside of us. And sometimes for people, like, can take 20, 30 years to go through this process, and becomes very heavy, and they are not able to go to the next reality because they are there within the healing process. And this is where I'm starting to answer to your question, Trace, like, how can I actually shift? Because many people are like, when this is never gonna happen, this is never gonna end. So we shift when we actually surrender. And I know it's a deep process of surrendering into our heart consciousness, because what's happening, like, 90%, or maybe let's say maybe 80 something percent of the population of this planet, they operate only through their mind. They perceive reality through their mind. The mind has a very interesting like configuration, circuitry in our brain on how to perceive reality in a linear way. Because if we wouldn't perceive reality in a linear way, we would freak out, because it's like, oh, I'm not having that past. Because this is where it's like you start to flow in the quantum flow. And this is when you are like, oh, but if I'm not this, who I am. So people, why do we have identities? Because the identity is actually helping us, give us a sense of reality. When we identify with something, we create a linearity, and the mind is safe, feels safe within that linear storyline, because the mind is creating a story for every identity that we have, and it's telling us that we are this and that, and then it's telling us why. So the mind is working in a very linear way and creates stories for us to actually feel safe. When we deconstruct identity and we don't know what is next, where the mind's like, okay, I'm going to dissolve this, but who are you next? And you don't give anything, like there is no identity that is replacing that, the mind freaks out, because like, this is not linear anymore. What am I going to do? I have to actually, I have to, like, and this is the dance between the heart and the mind, when you have to actually connect to your heart consciousness and surrender to the process of becoming nothingness. Like, the process of dissolution is a process of becoming nothingness, like of letting go of all identities and not trying, to survive the experience. You have to completely surrender to your heart and soul, and to go into that space of unknown, and actually accept that you don't know who you are right now, that some information will come in the future, that there is a deep knowing that you have to let go of what you were, like all the identities that you have created for yourself, consciously or unconsciously, and to allow a new version to emerge from inside out. Because when that process of dissolution and deconstruction happens, we are emerging from inside out. It's not from outside in. The mind is always looking outside of us, or all sorts of information, and trying, let's read books. And Yes, it's okay to read books and to reproduce that information, but if you want to continuously have access to a huge amount of data, you have to download it. And to download it, you can't use the mind. The mind is not involved in the downloading process. It's the heart. You are receiving the download through your heart, and the pineal gland is translating the information. So if we want to shift from this reality into that reality, what we have to do is connect to our heart consciousness, connect to our heart, try to feel reality and see reality and perceive reality through our heart, not so much through the mind. And then meditation, go in meditation every day. And many people on this planet don't know how to meditate. They go into that space and 1 million thoughts are running in their heads, and then 10 minutes has passed and it's like the alarm is like ringing and they have to leave to work. No, you have to go into that space, into the 0 point field, into the point of neutrality, where you are observing your mind, where you are observing your thoughts. Then this is how we can actually shift, by becoming more of an observer of our reality, not so much as an active participant, because we can actively be involved, but in the same time we have to step back and to look at the bigger picture, and to step back to become more of an observer. So meditation. Then the second tool is activate your column of ascension. Column of ascension is a technology where a column of golden light is flowing through your physical body, energetic body, light bodies, and you get activated into elevating your frequency to the net free frequency reality that you are there, ready to sink in and receive. Then the third tool is for you to become aware, and this is this takes training, guys. Like, you have to become aware by observing your thoughts and patterns and everything, that how you are creating reality. Because if we want to become deliberate, then we are not creating by default. Then we become aware, or aware of how our reality is responding to us, aware of how we are interacting with the reality, aware of everything that source consciousness wants to actually communicate with us through, like, synchronicities and alignments and opportunities and things that are coming towards us. Like, ask yourself why these things is happening to me, why am I seeing this, why, and see it like a treasure hunt, like follow the stream of the new frequency that wants to emerge in your reality. And a very important tool, don't be afraid of the unknown, because when you shift from reality A into another reality, and I'm not going to say B because that's linear, you will shift from A to M, it's not gonna, your body, your mind will not feel safe to actually step into the unknown, because the new reality that you are shifting is not showing you, it's not predictable as such. Everything that is predictable is because the mind is able to predict the 10 steps what is going to happen. So allow yourself to go into a space where you are becoming comfortable with the unknown, and taking leap of faith and making this jump without wanting to have a safety net. Because once you jump and you show the universe how courageous you are, and you go into this stream, the safety net is coming, but you have to jump first. So this is how we are actually moving in time and space. There are elements and components that we can actually take it as tools at home, and becoming more aware, becoming more conscious, like meditate, activate your column of ascension, and don't be afraid to take some interesting choices, because we are always choosing, consciously or unconsciously. It's time to choose more consciously if you want to change our lives. Yeah.
I love that. So, what exactly are starseeds, the Arcturians? Like, who are they in relationship to us, and what are some of the misconceptions about, them?
Well, there is a lot of conspiracy theories out there, I'm not all into that, but there is a lot that people are saying about UFOs and alien civilization as being bad, and they are going to take over the earth and enslave us. And yes, there are civilizations that don't have a good agenda for the planet, and they are already co-creating some realities with our governments. There is a lot going on in different timelines, but also there are beautiful civilizations of light that they have the highest intent and are here to actually help humanity to awaken and help humanity to go to the next level of frequency. Because once we elevate our frequency, we go to the next level of reality. And star seeds are souls that are coming on this planet that are holding the fifth dimension. Their soul mission is to hold fifth dimensional frequencies. So they are the visionaries of the new earth. They are the ones that are bringing innovation. They are the ones that are in connection with, different civilizations like the Arcturians and Syrians, Pleiadians, Andromeda, Lyra. Like, there are different civilizations, part of the Star Nations, Galactic Federations of Light, that are here to support humanity. The Arcturian Council of Light is one of these councils, and starseeds actually resonate when they come together. They actually they have different particularities, so you can actually see like what starseed is connect to what planet, like, for example, the Arcturians. I'm an Arcturian starseed, and I'm part of the Arcturian consciousness. So I'm very technical in stuff. Like, I love technology, I love quantum science, and this is because this is what the Arcturians are. They are very advanced civilizations, bringing a lot of healing technologies on this planet from the seventh dimension. They are masters in interdimensional travel, interdimensional communication. So the Arcturians is a seven-dimensional civilization, guys, bridging with us here and now through my vessel and other people on this planet. I'm not the only Arcturian channeler or trans channeler. There are others as well. So, as there are also emissaries of light from different civilizations, like the Syrians and Pleiadians and Lyrans. So many people are actually, when a starseed, when awakens to their starseed identity, because everyone has an identity until they let it go of that, but there is a process of like, let me explore this part of myself as a starseed. And when you are awakening as a starseed, you start to actually receive messages or feel inclined to connect to different, like, for example, the Pleiadians, they love everything connected to planet Earth. So they spend a lot of time on, connecting with Gaia consciousness, doing grid work, connecting with animal kingdom, plant kingdom, mineral kingdom. Like the Syrians are more tribal, and, they are operating from their heart consciousness. The Arcturians are operating from their third eye. We are very much here, like in the third eye, because this is how we are creating reality. Andromedans, they are actually creating the infrastructure of reality. So they are the ones that they build, and they are the architects of the galactic realms. So there are so many, civilizations that are co-creating with us right now, and so many starseeds that are awakening to their identity. Yeah.
Sure. So is everyone on this planet essentially a starseed from some type of system?
No, not everyone. There are starseeds. What does it mean to have a starseed? It means that you have a high coding of the DNA that is coming from a different planet. So, for example, we have had multiple incarnations, not only on planet Earth, but on other planets as well. And the ones that have a very good, super connection with different civilizations, they have a high concentration of alien DNA into their DNA stream. So they bring to their DNA teachings. The teachings that they bring, they're not bringing, downloading only through their crown chakra, but there is DNA codexes that is awakening through the DNA upgrade. So this is how they know who they are, because their DNA is changing, the DNA streams, strings are increasing, and this is how people start having knowledge about, or remembrance or memories about their starseed connection.
How do you know if you're from a starseed, right? Like, or from a different civilization, a part of the Galactic Federation, or whatever those labels are, right? Like, how do you know that you are a part of that?
Mm-hmm. So people start actually, the starseed at the beginning, they don't know they don't know. They just have this magnetic pull to start watching on the internet different activations or different, transmissions with about a specific civilization. And they are becoming like passionate about that type of content. They go and actually receive so much about their civilizations. They are learning about different civilizations, and how there is a memory. Like, they start to actually feel the deep knowing that we were speaking at the beginning. They start to feel in their heart and soul that they belong to a specific planet. And when they ride that wave of excitement, if there is not so much deprogramming that needs to happen in their subconscious mind, they start also to connect, to hear different civilizations and to feel them, like their guidance, because when you are a star seed and your soul mission is to co-create with your star family on this planet, you start to actually receive their guidance, to feel them, to experience their presence in your energetic field. And this is how you know. And many people are actually that are coming to me, they are saying, my intuition is telling me that I'm connected to this planet because I feel drawn towards content that is about like Arcturus or Sirius or other civilizations. So it's a process of discovery. It's not like you wake up one day and it's like, I'm a Syrian starseed. And many people that wants to escape reality probably do this, because
Yes.
not everything is love and light, right? Like many people are trying to dissociate and run away of trauma and deep healing and so on, and take starseed the identities and to go in their upper chakras and be there because they don't want to be in the body. So that's a different story, but the ones that are truly doing the work, because this is what's happening, when you are awakening to your starseed identity and explore that, you have to do the work first, which means that you have to go deeper. Like you can't just escape and connect. You can't connect because the body has a heaviness in it, and the heaviness is coming from lower frequency timelines and realities that needs to be cleared in order for you to have a connection. Yeah.
So are you in a different dimension right now and just looking in on us in 3D and just kind of guiding us? Or how do you, I mean, like when I ask you, how do you experience reality? I feel like you experience, like you're seeing things that we don't see. Like you're probably experiencing multidimensional, like, experiences in the moment, right? Like I just feel like there's something different. Like are you looking, like, are you on the outside looking in? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, it's interesting. I am on the outside looking in and from the inside looking out. I'm able actually to see the frameworks of reality overlapping each other when how we shift in parallel timelines. I have like a bigger spectrum of perception of what's going on, not only like in physical form, but energetical, like how energy flows into the field. I'm able, to be in this reality, but also in the same time go into the quantum field and see how this reality looks at the back end, like all the architecture and the infrastructure of reality. I don't really like to label myself that I am on a pedestal. I don't like to put myself there. I'm here because everything exists here. All the higher dimensions of existence exist in the 0 point field in this here and now,
Sure.
and I'm here. I'm here in my full presence. The Arcturian Council of Light is here in their full presence. We are here, to actually help anyone that is ready to receive us in our fullness, and to take them to this path of beautiful ascension and evolution of consciousness. Yeah. And embodiment. I'm passionate about embodiment because I like to be here in this physical body. I like to teach people how to embody what they teach, because like everyone that I'm helping them to open up their access to their multidimensionality and they stream information, they need to, and they want to teach. Like everyone that is working with me, they teach from what they download and what they have embodied, not from what they access from books and so on. Like we
Sure.
don't teach from books, because teaching from books is like reproduction, like you just reproduce what is there, you memorize and then you say. But when you embody things, like it's different, because it's just a different experience. So I'm 100% about embodiment and being here and now.
Have they ever alluded to like mankind's genesis, like how we came to be here on this planet and why we were here? Like you said earlier, like, some people think the UFOs are coming here and that we're slaves in this system. I mean, anyone could be a slave really mentally, right? Like if you live in that reality and have that consciousness, as a victim, you can always be a slave to someone. But did they ever like allude to like the man's genesis story and like how we came to be on this earth? And, are we slaves in a system, or is it like, a schoolhouse that everyone speaks about and how it helps us develop more spiritually or higher, frequency, obtainment or, maturation? Like, is this like stage theory in its perfection? Have you ever spoke about that?
Yeah. So the third dimension is a space where we are experiencing contrast and duality. It's like each dimension has their own laws, but when we are born here on planet Earth on the third dimension. And for thousands of years, we had been born in the third dimension. The civilizations that were before us that were not third dimensional were Lemuria, Atlantis, and Egypt. After the ancient Egypt collapsed, like humanity went back into, not, I would not say that we didn't evolve, but we came back into the recalibration of the third dimension. So when we are being born here and now in this duality, we are using duality and contrast in order to, understand who we are, and in order to understand our preferences. Because if we would have been in non-duality, like in pure oneness, unity consciousness, there is no contrast for us to learn. So the ones that everyone that we have incarnated on this planet right here, right now, we are here to learn. We are here to experience different themes that our soul have chosen before incarnation. And we can only do that through duality. And why this incarnation is so fascinating for each and one of us is because in this incarnation, we are bridging, the third dimension with the fifth dimension. We are bridging duality with non-duality. And we learn, from the third dimension, how to actually move into another stream, and how our preferences can be even more, streamlined and refined into going into higher dimension. So this is a beautiful world.
So we're not
And
slaves. We're not producing energy for other entities to come and feed off of us, essentially. Is that what I'm hearing?
well, depend on what reality you are living, because as I said, there are some civilizations that they don't have a good agenda for this planet, and they are co-creating with different governments on this planet different strategies and different things, and that are not from the light, and they are not in the benefit of humanity. But you can only connect to that reality if you have a very low frequency, if you actually live in separation consciousness, in fear consciousness. If you are completely programmed and enslaved into being in, like, to live in fear, then yes, you might be serving as a battery for someone that is feeding off life force energy. But this is why we are awakening, because we don't want to be there. We want to actually awaken and take control of our lives and choose using our free will, which is amazing. This is an incredible tool, to actually say yes to what you prefer, saying no to what you don't prefer. And when we elevate our frequency, we are living those realities. This is something that people don't understand. They believe they live in one reality, but actually there are infinite realities. And as we are changing our choices, elevating our frequency, we are actually choosing new realities. And in new realities, there is something else that you are experiencing. You are not experiencing these lower realms. You start to experience more heightened realms where, you see, like, people coming together and people coming in unity and co-creation. You see self-growth and development. You don't judge things as being good and right, but you start to have like a higher overview of why things are happening on this planet and how this can benefit us and our species for the evolution of our species. So in the very low realms, you actually say, oh, you are wrong, I am right, and there is war and fight, and then you move into another way. It's like, oh, no, nobody's wrong and right. And actually, we are seeing things, how this actually experiences are helping humanity, how this is helping us become more aware and more conscious and more self-responsible and taking self-ownership. Because this is where, we move from codependency into independency and interdependency. I think planet Earth right now, the collective level, people are waking up and they start to say no. So they start to say yes to independency and sovereignty. Yeah.
Well, what does it mean to live in a different reality? Like, as you evolve, as you have evolved, Livia, like, how has your reality changed? Does that mean, like, when I evolve, like, I walk out the front door and then all of a sudden I'm totally in a different reality or dimension? Like, what does that mean that we always living different realities? When I make a choice, a conscious choice to be different, right? To be something totally different, what does that mean? Does it mean that I step automatically into a different timeline for myself, that I was projected to go here and then all of a sudden I make a choice and now I'm going here? So what does it mean? Like, do I start seeing more glitches in the system? Do I start seeing different people enter into my life? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah. So when we shift reality, actually, we start the framework of reality looks the same. But if you start to actually look at the details of it, it's different. And this is what people don't do. They're not living through details. So if you start to look at the details are different, and then how you are experiencing is different because you are in the flow consciousness. So when you shift reality, you start to, everything is flowing effortlessly into your life. There is not like you have to do things or to take so much action. Things are being done for you and you are just receiving. So when you shift into a different frequency, you go into a flow consciousness, into this beautiful stream of alignment where you meet people that are 100% aligned with your frequency, and where, you know, there's these beautiful friendships and co-creations and business partners and collaborations and ease and grace, and everything flows effortlessly into your life because you are in the flow consciousness, which means that you are not trying to control your reality. You go with the, you know, with the flow, with the downstream of the energy. You let yourself be guided by the energetic flow, and this is where everything is perfectly aligning. When you are not, you know, into a high frequency reality, things you are experiencing struggle, like pain, the different blockages, and, you know, things that are not flowing. You know, when things are not flowing, this means that you are not where you are supposed to be. You like, if you are in a reality that you don't prefer, don't accept that that is the reality you have to live. Don't put up with that, because many people I know that many are resilient and they have so much strength and they can, you know, fight against the stream and struggle. We had been programmed to hustle and grind and struggle and work hard and so on, but, you know, that's not the reality. That was a collective reality that was imprinted, and people were lied to believe that they have to always work hard and sacrifice and fight and so on. And there's this other reality where you just align, your frequency align, and everything start flowing and everything is aligned. So people that are coming into your reality are a mirror of who you truly are, a mirror of how much you have evolved, a mirror of where you are in your evolutionary process, a mirror of your subconscious programming. And then it's easy to navigate because they are you. So if you want to shift your reality, you just go inside of you and it shifts something and everything is shifting. This is how I operate.
Do you ever get stuck? Do you ever do you feel like you get stuck sometimes where you just don't know what's the next step? And if you do, like, is that where you go into that surrender? You
I
know,
never
like,
know what is the next step.
so how do
I,
you,
I
so how do you surrender? What does that look like? I mean, so you're talking about attracting people that you're at a higher or at the same frequency. Is this like, does this look like always feeling like positive about life, or like you feel like you have to maintain this feeling of, oh, I just won the lottery kind of thing, and then that's what takes you to the next level or next frequency, or is it just self awareness or self knowing? Like, what is that? What is that?
Yes. Well, it's not, this is the thing. And I love this question because many people are actually believing that they have to always be positive, to not like to run away of things that are not you know, in the higher frequency. They're even like turn down their friends. You know, it's like, oh, you're not in a high frequency anymore, don't come to me with this conversation because you're lowering my frequency. No. It's not like that. And many people actually do that and they believe that. And there are teachers out there that are telling them, you have to always stay positive. No, you can't stay positive because you are in a third, fourth dimension. And in the third, fourth dimensional reality, there is contrast and there is life, there is intensity. There you have to actually let yourself feel and go through the full spectrum of your emotion. You have to allow yourself to be yourself and to be free. You can't fake it till you make it. And people are actually doing that because they believe that that's the way. No, in order for you to actually really shift and really be into an embodiment of the fifth dimensional consciousness, how you get there is through deep inner work. Like you have to be 100% true with yourself and honest to yourself, and to honor your feelings and emotions and your process and your transformation. And you have to allow yourself to transform and to fully trust that beyond your transformation, there is an incredible pathway opening up for you. And you never give up to that path. You never give up to the dream. You never give up to the feeling, to the deep knowing, to the, you know, to that incredible energy that you can smell, touch, feel the other reality. You don't, doesn't matter what's happening in your reality. It doesn't matter how the circumstances are looking, but you never let go of what you truly desire. And when you do that, things are changing, you are transforming, and you always evolve and you always align. And there is joy and happiness, and it's embodied, it's coming from the fullness of your being, and you embrace every experience that is coming towards you because you are not in separation consciousness. When we are doing, let me just only think positive, you are separating of a part of yourself, like we have to, if we want to come in unity consciousness, firstly we come inside of us, in within, and then without, because the reality is just a projection of who you are, so everything comes here from here. So embrace fully who you are, embrace your experience, your transformation, your dreams, your desires, love your life, no matter where you are. Don't judge it anymore. Don't look of, oh, why I'm here and others are there. Don't compare yourself, because you are unique and every journey is super unique. And this is what God source consciousness wants us to realize, that we are, each and one of us, we are such a unique individual with such a high potential. And if we want to actually show to the world who we truly are, we have to show our inner potential, not to copy and paste templates from others, looking out outside reality, trying to be who we are not. We have to, if we want to become our true authentic self, sovereign self, and to create an amazing, incredible life for ourselves and others, we have to go through the journey of connecting with authenticity and realness, and to embrace who we are. And this is how we get there. This is how we get into that flow.
Goodness, Livia, that was, drop the mic on that one, girl. Goodness. I was so, like, I was at a trance just listening to you, and I was like, I don't even know what I'm going to ask her on that one. That's just too good. Yeah, I think for me, it is coming back within, right? Finding that authentic self, connecting with that which is inside of me. That, because you always hear go inward, right? Like all the answers are within you. Like when you go within, have you ever connected with that God source?
Yes.
And is that God source conscious of us, like as Trey or Livia, right? Like, or does it know what we're going through? Does it know what we're striving for? And like, is it aware of like what we need next?
Yes. And
Can you
it's there for us,
give me an example of this? Because I feel like I hear people say this, but I'm like, that mind is popping up, analytical mind is like, all right, give me an example.
So the example and how you can actually know is that deep, deep divine love that you feel into your heart when you connect to God, source consciousness. And when God speaks to you in different ways, some people are hearing, some people are feeling it, some people are seeing it, but they are interacting, like the source consciousness is interacting with our physical senses in this reality, like, telling us that we are in this here and now with them, with it, with God, and with different councils. And you know how it is, there are so many, during like thousands of years of human evolution, there are so many teachers in India especially, and Tibet, that gurus, for example, they are called gurus, but yeah, they were teachers. And they went into this deep connection to God's source consciousness, and they merged with it completely. And some of them also let go of their physical life, of all attachments towards physicality, because they actually merged with I am consciousness, and they felt that connection, and they deeply knew that this is what it is to be connected with and loved by God. And of course, things have evolved. People were letting go of like, people were going and living in caves and so on, and letting go of the attachment, their physical material life. And some of them, as times evolved, some of them actually realized that they have to go out in the world and share this concept, and they had huge followers. This is where the guru name is coming from, and so on and so forth. But what they actually tapped into is this connection with God, source consciousness, and the divine love that you truly know, when you truly feel that you are deeply loved by the universe in ways that is overwhelming. And this is what I felt. Like, I'm doing my mission on this planet with the Arcturian Council of Light, because I felt that divine unconditional love that I never experienced in human form. And I am here because of that love. I'm doing this mission because of that love. Sirius Council of Light trained me for 1 year, and they shifted my consciousness, as for others in 40 years. At the end of my training, they told me I'm ready to let the Arcturian Council of Light to flow through me, because I'm a trance channel. I go into a trance and they flow through me. And the Sirius Council of Light open up my heart so much that I experienced such a high love, divine love towards source, God consciousness. And the love initially, because they were in front of me, they were like working with me. I thought that I actually fell in love with them, but actually they were telling you fell in love with yourself. This is
Mm.
the love that you have towards yourself. And because I was trying to put it outside to project it, is it God? Where is this love coming from? And they told me, this is you. This is the love inside of you. Nothing is outside, not even us. So this is where we cross in between, like, different, into understanding that we are God's source consciousness within. God is within us. It's not outside of us, but is coming through different people and synchronicities and like miracles and like things like that is showing us. But if we want to truly feel who we are, we go into that space of divine love. Only through our hearts we'll be able to connect to God's source consciousness and to understand how deeply loved we are, each and one of us. Like, you don't have to be special to be loved. We are loved only because we said yes to incarnate in physical bodies, in this incarnation, multiple incarnation. Like, we are deeply loved, and source God consciousness knows about each and one of us and our needs and wants and desires and dreams and everything.
Mm.
So this is the connection point. And like, the love that I felt for God's source consciousness, for Sirius Council, for the Arcturian Council, this is why I'm here and I'm doing this. And I'm doing this, how to say, like, in devotion, like in devotion to that love. And it was so interesting because they wanted for me to experience that divine love, and they took me through dimension. And they took my soul, my consciousness, not my physical body. Yeah. So when I went over like 6 and 7 dimension, and they said, can you come to us in the 12th dimension, I was overwhelmed. I felt like I'm gonna die of feeling such a deep, overwhelming feeling of love that I couldn't feel it in this incarnation. And they said to me, you are not going to dissolve, you are not going to die, just let yourself feel more, like even more, until we arrive in the 12th dimension, because we want to show for you to feel and experience how does it feel to be in the 12th dimension. And I know I have arrived there, and they asked me, do you want to go further? And it's like, no, I'm going to die, my heart will explode of so much love. And they said, okay, we'll take you down into the 3rd dimension. So after that experience, I had to process it. I had to process it like for maybe 2 weeks, because it was such a love in my heart. And then when I came back in my body, I felt that, I felt like, wow, like this is who we are, probably when transitioning on physical, and we completely merge with source God consciousness. And yes, this is why, like, that divine love actually, like, I said a completely yes to this mission. It's like, if I felt that, and if I am able actually to take people through the transformation that I have been with the Arcturian Sirius Council, to actually them to feel that, this is how this world is going to change. Like, if
Mm.
people are going to feel the love that I have felt, this is how the world will completely change. So I'm on this mission, to, yeah, I'm on a mission of
I'm
love.
on a mission, baby. Yeah, that's what I like to hear. I love it. I feel like we're all on little missions, right? But how do you know if the mission, and I know we're, pushing on time, but how do you know, like, if your mission is like your true mission, or like the ego creating a mission for you to go on?
Yeah. So, when it's coming from the ego, normally the ego wants power, money, fame, status, public validation. This is the first sign that if you're on a mission to have millions of followers and so on, to be known, to be on a Hollywood, to be, that's not bad, that's good. But if it's only part of your mission, but if it's not part of your mission, this is the ego. But when you are on a mission, sometimes people, like, you are not looking for public validation, you are not looking for people to say thank you, you are not waiting for any type of appreciation, because you know that you are loved, you know that how you are helping others is beyond their understanding, you know that you don't need to be, how to say, in the spotlight. When you are in your soul mission, you truly and deeply want to help people, like, you truly, and this is where you devote your life for. And this is where, your satisfaction and gratitude and honor is coming. Like for me, working with the Arcturian Council of Light, like if we impact 1 million people or only one person, for us is the same, because the change and transformation that one person is actually going at multi-dimensional level is beyond this incarnation, is beyond this reality, is beyond, like, it's at the soul level. So how if you are in your soul mission, if you truly and honestly and with integrity and with authenticity wants to help people, like if you are 100% there for that. But if you just want to, I'm going to be on my soul mission for the next 5 years, see how it goes, and if I don't like it, I'm going to go back to I'm going to go back to a corporate job. It doesn't work that way.
Sure.
So
Well, in closing, right? Because I feel like, I know you're a trans channel, and I would really love to experience that. However, I don't know if we have enough time today. I feel like you have to come back on for another episode so that way we can do that. What do you think the Octurians want us to know right now?
right now, that we are all loved and we are love, and that we are here together, that there is no separation between us and them, us and other civilization. And yeah, we are here, to co-create in awareness and simplicity. Simplicity is the key, not trying to complicate things, but just keep it very simple and, connect it to our hearts. And they will love actually to be here on with you again and trans channel, like for me to trans channel them and for them to be felt and received by the
One
human
person.
mind, one
Just one
person,
person.
only by you. Yes. They actually are very happy to do that, and they are always here to serve. So
Do they just
yes.
walk around with you all day? Can you feel them?
Yes, I hear them in my head as well.
Is it
I'm
still
speaking.
it's still four voices, or is it like a million voices still?
No, it's only them right now, and my higher self when I'm connecting to my higher self and ask questions. But they are the ones that I'm hearing. It's only one voice now, which is them. So I ask questions, they answer, and they are part of my day-to-day life. Sometimes they are like they are guiding my food choices and coming shopping with me and everything.
They pick out your next dress. Do they do any of that? Like pick that dress that's high vibrational.
No, but it was so funny. Like I was in a shop and I was looking like for hours for a pair of shoes, and they were watching me and it's like, hey, they're not calling me Livia, they're calling me Elva because it's my higher self name. And they said, Elva, if you just walk into the next next shop, and there's the third shelf on the right, you will find what you are looking for. So I just went after hours and I was just so frustrated of not finding. I went exactly there and I picked up my shoes and I was just so happy. So sometimes they are, when I'm seeing me, that I'm just like wasting my time and I'm like in this frustration. This is when they come in and it's like, can we help? Do you let
Oh
us like
wow.
share a little bit?
So your higher self name, does everyone have a higher self name?
Well, my higher self name is the name that part of the Arcturian consciousness. So we have many higher selves and we have many names. The name that is connected to you in this incarnation serves your mission and it serves the remembrance. We have many names, so it depends of what your soul mission is and why is important for you to remember. Because the name is not important; it's the remembrance that comes with it is important.
Do they connect with other people? Like say if you were working with me as a client, right? And I said, hey, Livia, what's my higher self name? Could they connect with that higher self that is me and tell me what that is?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
well, now I have to ask, like, what is that name?
Well, we will need to let them come through me,
Oh,
so
okay.
our next transmission,
That's
yeah,
the
they
first question I'm gonna ask them is gonna be like, what's my name up there, bro? Um, Livia, this has been awesome. How can people connect with you? How can they find more about what you're putting out, the content? How can they follow you? How can they email you? What does that look like?
yeah, so people can find me on my website, liviadevi.com, on Instagram, Arcturians Channeling. If you come on my page on Instagram, just say hi. Facebook, Livia Devi, YouTube, Livia Devi, and just anywhere. If I'm doing a lot of live events as well and workshops, running online programs. So anywhere we cross paths, just say hi, and I'm super happy to come back and send you a heart.
I love it. Livia, this has been awesome. You're a fantastic interviewee, and I just love the energy that you put out there. So thank you.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Trey. I truly appreciate, and it was a beautiful conversation. I always love it, and thank you for sharing, and yeah, your energy here with us. All. Thank you so much.